Tonight on the show, we look at the wash-up from the Inner Geekdom and the title match. We've also got interviews with Robert Meyer Burnett and one half of Team Patriots, Jeff Schneider, as they give us their insight into their matches. Plus, we look ahead at next week into the Schmoedown. Let's go! Hello and welcome to the Reactors Summit. I'm your host, Jacob Blunden, and with me, I have an awesome panel of guests. My co-host for today, Evan DeGraff. How you going, mate?
I'm actually going to say hi this time, so hello, everyone.
We also have our very own commissioner from Worldwide Movie Trivia, Chris Dohmen. How you going?
I'm going, and oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. I can't wait.
And we've also got Matthew Kearns. How you going, mate?
I have no discernible tagline to myself. I feel good. I feel good.
I'm sorry. All right, so we've got a big week this week in the Schmoedown. We had the most recent title match, and we've also got the second of 3 Inner Geekdom matches. So I'm going to start. Evan, what caught your eye this week?
Okay, here's the thing. It is official. The Patriots are the biggest and the best identity, the best team / competitor the Schmoedown has ever seen. They are 7-0 with 3 knockouts and now 3 title defenses. They are better than Dan Murrell has ever been. They're better than Mark Riley has ever been. They're better than the Team Schmoes have ever been. They are the best team / competitor in the Schmoedown history, and their run is incredible. It's something not to knock at. 2 title defenses, both coming down to the final question, and it was insane. It's just the way how both JT and Jeff Schneider can come back at each other. They know what they're doing, and we're going to continue to see this for probably another 6, 7, 8 months, maybe another year, because they're that darn good. I don't know who can take them down. Maybe above the line. We'll see.
Yeah, I do agree that they have really put their case for, we are the most dominant team in the Schmoedown. Matt, what caught your eye this week?
Actually, in a similar vein, dealing with the Lions Den, Robert Burnett's match on Tuesday, he lost. Now, the Lions Den, as we all know, Tom Dagnino, they are the proprietors of the line, bottom line, you're a loser, loser behavior. Robert loses. Now, he is the newest member to their faction, but they weren't, ready to, crucify him and, kick him out. They were like, hey, man, those questions were really hard, and you were a little rusty. You haven't had a match since Jeremy Johns. You're going to come back, and you're going to kick ass, which made me, as a Lions Den supporter, made me feel really good that they're not all bad all the time.
Very true.
Which only makes me ask, what are they up to? What are they planning?
Chris, what caught your eye this week?
Okay. So, guys, I just want to drop something here real quick. The thing about the Schmoedown is people create a character when they perform in a match. And sometimes it's that character that might affect your performance. Speed round. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, we will be definitely getting into this when we come into those matches. However, this week for me, what caught my eye was Chris Skaliski making it life really difficult for us reactors and in the Fan Reactors League, because those round 1 questions were insane. They were incredible and amazing and well done, Chris, but some of those questions, they were just insanely difficult, and hey, it makes the Schmoedown even more fun and really tests some of our knowledge. So, guys, I'm going to throw it to Matt. What were your thoughts on the Inner Geekdom match?
Well, I mean, you already said before, but my God, was that first round very difficult. Chris Skaliski, this kind of shows he listens to the fans. When you say, oh, those were just gimme questions, he'll be like, okay, you know what? Fine, I'll give you some hard questions, which guys, we have to watch out because we don't want to make it we want to make it challenging, but not too hard on these competitors that we like. Okay, Jay Washington, he came out. He's never been in there. Geekdom. Robert was the former champ. He's been having a rough road since he lost the belt to Navarro. This didn't help. Jay, you know what? It wasn't that high scoring. I'm not one to completely toss Jay out, but in this fatal four-way that we're having, he's not my pick to win it. I still think Cushing's gonna win. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? He shocked me already by coming out, and from someone who I didn't know how he was gonna handle it. So I guess. And for Robert, I think taking a break and focusing on teams right now is the best thing to do.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, you really got a sense from that match that first round was killer, but Jay does know his stuff, and he is very knowledgeable when it comes to inner geekdom. When he did get Spinner's Choice, so that does help him a lot, but it would have been a very different match if he did have to accept Lord of the Rings, which was his first round. Evan, what were your thoughts on the match?
Okay, it was clearly unexpected, but it proved one thing. The inner geekdom is going to get harder, which I think is a fantastic thing that all of us should celebrate. While I'm, of course, going to get maybe 1 point on a prayer, it's just the matter of fact that most of these people are professionals. I think a lot of us sometimes forget that. A lot of these people who are competing are professionals at what they do. So whenever you see them get questions wrong, it's because the questions are actually that hard. It's not because they don't know the information. It's because the questions are that hard. And I think it should be that way. It should be the people who are the most niche knowledgeable about inner geekdom. That's what makes inner geekdom so special for me compared to the other. Compared to the actual Schmoedown, is because you can study for inner geekdom, and you can rewatch these movies over and over and over again. And for me, what it comes down to for these inner geekdom matches is who is more passionate about X movies that are being asked about. And as the dice were rolled, Suicide Squad was asked about a few times in that match. Hence why I think Jay Washington got the W over Robert. And so, again, do I think Robert's a better competitor? After talking to him, yes. So Robert's future is a very tricky one. He'll do well with Blofeld's Cat coming up soon. We'll see how the future comes.
Definitely. I do think Robert in Blofeld's Cat's going to be a turning point in this league, and we are going to see a new life bred, and we could end up seeing a very dominant team performance. But going back to this match, Chris, what were your thoughts on the inner geekdom match?
Skaliski, I like you. I like you a lot, actually. But for that match, my good sir, fuck you. Fuck you. But okay, all joking aside, I kind of wish Rob, because we can call him Rob. He even said as much last night on our live show. But he probably should have tried to respin, because DCEU, I think, is, unless you're just getting into comic book movies, and that's where you started with like Man of Steel and BVS and stuff, bad move on his part. He should have tried to respin, go for something that was a little more vintage, shall we say, which your Star Wars, your Star Treks, your Marvel / DC overall. But I can't say that it still wasn't a very entertaining match. Yes, it wasn't the most high scoring. Boo freaking who. When I watch a match, I want to be entertained, and I could not have been more entertained than with this match. So, Jay, congratulations, dude. You earned it, but come on, man. The one time I want a Lions Den member to pull out a win, he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I do agree with something that you said there, whereas it might not have been the most high scoring match, and we say this every time there's a low scoring match, but these matches are not, like, they are so entertaining because of the storyline surrounding them, because of everything surrounding the match. While the match might not be the greatest, you can still fall in love with just the entertainment of it, because we have now become so invested in the storylines and so invested in everything that's happening. If this was just a match, if I was just watching Robert Meyer Burnett and Jay Washington play each other, this would have been a terrible match. But because the Lions Den, look, they're starting to, I don't want to say, I'm starting to enjoy the Lions Den a little more than I should for a Horseman supporter. But look, Robert Meyer Burnett was, you know, he was okay in his match. He just did not perform in his round 2. Round 3, he did surprisingly well. He did, like, you rewatch the match, he gets 2 of the 3 right. He lucks out on scores and soundtracks. Like, come on, who watches that Amazing Spider-Man movie and knows the score? I know who did the second one. I don't know who did the first one, but look.
See, I watched that movie and I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just remember it was very bad and forgettable. But Jay Washington, he was fantastic in this match. He, you know, in round 2, and he scored really well, and then ended the match with a good night, which I just thought just was so perfect. But we were lucky enough to land an interview with Robert Meyer Burnett. So, Evan, take her away.
Why, thank you, Jacob. We now here have ourselves the captain, Robert Meyer Burnett, with us here today. I just want to start off with the first question. You came off your match versus Jay Washington. Some would say it's obviously a bit disappointing. What was your headspace throughout that?
Well, you know, I mean, I think my head just wasn't in the match, and sometimes that happens. Like, it was really interesting. The first couple of questions, I was drawing a complete blank. Like, I didn't know. And then I didn't spin the wheel twice. Why didn't I spin the wheel twice? It could have landed on Star Trek. I was like, oh, DCEU. And I'm like, I wasn't even, I feel like I didn't give Jay my A game. But that's just an excuse. You know, some days your head just isn't in the game, and it should have been. And that was the 3rd of 3 bad singles matches for me. I thought Jeremy Johns was bad too, but Jay was even worse. I mean, I took multiple choice on all of my second round questions, and I figured, you know, it was interesting because sometimes on the Schmoedown, you second guess the questions. Like, there was a question, what did Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince talk about, or what item were they discussing in that museum in Batman v Superman? And I was thinking to myself, well, I know it's a sword, but what is it the sword of? And the answer was just, it was a sword. But I was thinking that there was like the sword of Shambhala, you know, or the sword of something that I just didn't remember. And I'm like, I better go multiple choice. And once you start second guessing yourself, that's death in the Schmoedown. You either know the questions or you don't, or they're on like the Billy Crudup. I think it was, who played Dr. Manhattan. I don't know if that was in the Jay Washington. Was that in the Jay Washington? I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I love Billy Crudup, and I was sitting there going, I am a golden god, because I was quoting something Billy Crudup said in Almost Famous. But I'm like, I couldn't recall his name. And it was so weird. And then finally, at the last minute, I got Billy Crudup. But then with the final question, I should have won that 5-pointer. I knew James Horner, but again, you get confused. There's however many different Spider-Mans and which came out what, and superhero movies, and you get all turned around. But that's the game. That's the Schmoedown. And that's why it always cracks me up when people say, oh, it must be rigged. It isn't. The game isn't rigged at all. There's no way you could rig it. When I was with Team Heroes and we spun comic book movies on 2 separate occasions, how could you ever make that happen on the wheel? You couldn't. And I have an upcoming match against them again. That traitorous John Schnepp. And I won't even say who his new partner is. But I'm not going to say it. Not yet. No, I won't say it. But yeah, you just never know. It really is the wheel, and you try and I feel that we owe the fans entertainment, and a bad match is not entertaining. But at least people thought Jay and I are entertaining. We've done enough. We did enough pre-gaming. I even wasn't even entertaining while we were playing the match. I just felt not fun. I wasn't energized like I usually am, and it's rough when that happens. I mean, it gets down to the 5-point question. I'm always losing on the 5-point question, which is bad. Bums me out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was clearly an obvious that it was a devastating loss, something that's a bit difficult to bounce back from. So my follow-up question to that is, you were once champion of the Inner Geekdom division. How do you plan to build yourself back up from where you are right now?
Well, I think that the key for me would, I won the Inner Geekdom, but I didn't fight my way up to win the Inner Geekdom. I was in this fatal 5-way and won this title that didn't yet exist. So I kind of had an easy time of winning that first Inner Geekdom. I mean, it's never easy competing against 5 people. And it was my, the first time I really competed in singles. But I'll get back there, because I am the smartest competitor, really. My movie knowledge is way more extensive than anyone else. Although, other than he who shall not be named on this particular interview, I think Rachel Cushing is formidable as far as the Inner Geekdom is concerned. I think she has the most well-rounded geek knowledge, and her knowledge of fantasy cinema is pretty incomparable. It's pretty devastating to go up against. So yeah. I look forward to that. But I've got to build myself up. I'm really looking forward to working with Mark Andreyko on Blofeld's Cat, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, because he and I have a lot of general movie knowledge, and the Inner Geekdom doesn't tap into that really. So I'm looking forward to my knowledge of directors and classics and other types of movies that aren't just in the Inner Geekdom category.
Awesome. I want to hit on one more thing before we move on to your next possible match. One more thing from your last match. The Lions Den really seemed to back you up there after the match. They seemed to have your back, unlike some would say with Roca and Bibiani. Dagino, Sneider, JTE, and Draco, they all seem to have your back. What is it about the Lions Den that brought you in, and does it feel like a home for you?
Yeah, I really like those guys. I mean, when I first started the Schmoedown, I didn't know who Little Evil was. I didn't know JTE, and I knew Snider because of his work, but I didn't really know those guys. But I liked them, just hanging out with them and being in the offices of Collider and the Schmoes Know. And I really like those guys. I like their personas, and I like being. It was funny when I first started doing the Schmoedown, I was like, okay, so this is based on wrestling, and I was never really a big wrestling fan growing up. But I'm like, if you're gonna do it, it seems to me like the way to do it right is to be a villain, is to be a bad guy, because then you're always gonna have fun. Playing a part is for me, it's hilarious. Like that jacket I wear, I had it hanging in my closet. It was from a Halloween costume from 15 years ago. And I'd never worn it. It was just hanging in my closet, and I was like I opened my closet one day, and I'm like, you know what? It'd be hilarious to wear this jacket on the Schmoedown. Like, I wonder if I could do that. And I brought it, and I said to Christian, I go, I want to wear this jacket. It's kind of like a pirate jacket or a captain's jacket or some. And Harloff's like, oh yeah, you got to wear that jacket. And once I put that jacket on, and it was ridiculous enough, I've actually got a poet shirt that goes with it, like this black shirt with frilly lace that I should wear as well, which I think I should do. But once I started doing that and yelling and screaming, it was just people thought it was hilarious. I'm like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
I think my character's a little one note, but it's fun. It's fun to do that. But I think the Lions Den, the thing about the Four Horsemen was, I didn't really know Nost and Bibiani, and I'd seen Roca around, and I liked them, but it never seemed like we were really a team, and I think that's partly my fault. I didn't participate as much as I should have because I was working. So it was hard for me to get down to all the matches where the other members of the Lions Den played. But the guys, first of all, everybody in the Lions Den makes me laugh. They're all hilarious. And like everyone at the Schmoedown, everybody's just really nice. It's just fun to hang out with them. And it was nice, I mean, that they backed me up. I felt like I let them down. I'm like, oh my God, they let me into this team, and I just got beat by Jay Washington. Oh my God. But I think that with Mark Andreyko, and our new team, Blofeld's Cat, who is a lion itself. I'm not really sure if Blofeld's Cat's a guy or a girl. I think it's probably a girl cat, but who cares? So, but yeah, it's great. I mean, I like the Lions Den, and plus we have a beautiful redhead mascot in Grace. So is she our mascot? I want to see her play for the Lions Den. I want like all 5 of us to play. Like, can we do that?
What was the inspiration for the Blofeld's Cat, the new team between you and Mark Andreyko? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, you know, we were talking about a bunch of different names, and like I said, I think Andreyko said, why don't we call ourselves like the Tasty Bitches? And I'm like, I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, sure. And but Harloff nixed that idea. Then we were talking about being House Harkonnen from Dune, which I kind of thought was cool, but it seemed a little serious. I think if you're going to have a team name, if your team name isn't slightly ridiculous or has some element of humor in it, and, you know, we were just thinking Lions Den, what is feline related? What's something that has something to do with lions in some peripheral way? And we've been talking about the Bond category and whether it was belonged in Inner Geekdom. I was always saying, as a big James Bond fan, why isn't there more Bond questions in the Schmoedown? I mean, there's the 25th official James Bond movie. There's unofficial James Bond movies. Why aren't there more Bond questions? And then Andreyko just said, what if we call ourselves Blofeld's Cat? I'm like, oh man, that's it. That's gotta be it. Because the thing is, Blofeld's Cat, it's Ernst Stavro Blofeld, the leader of Spectre, the evil organization if there was the Lions Den in the James Bond franchise, it would be Spectre, and Blofeld would be the JTE of it. So why not? Why not call ourselves Blofeld's Cat? So
well, it totally works. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa, and then it totally made sense. Some awesome stuff actually came out of it, and I'm very interested to see how well your team does. I just don't know if I want you guys to be John Schnepp, because I really like John Schnepp. John Schnepp's a really cool dude.
I love John Schnepp, but to be honest, I mean, he threw me off of his team after I was the one that I was 3-1. I was in contention. We were in contention. I mean, I played with Schnepp and Campia, and we were victorious. And I was a little shocked that the captain character was not something that Schnepp wanted around. Of course, Schnepp, it doesn't affect our relationship outside of the Thunderdome of Schmoedown.
But you did mention something that you did want to wear under your big coat. Do you potentially want to wear it for your Fatal 5-Way coming up for the winner to play the John Stephen Roca, the Outlaw? Are you looking forward to this Fatal 5-Way coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I think the Fatal 5-Way, all those things are always fun. I mean, here's the great thing about the Schmoedown is it's always a good time, even if you don't play well. It gets frustrating. It does sting when you lose, and you feel like you let people down, especially when I'm as loud as I am, because you can't be a villain. You can't be a loudmouth unless you're kind of good. Exactly. If you're bad, then you're just an idiot. So I need to rack up some victories. The problem too is that, you know, having been working a lot over the last couple of years, the way I watch movies, I'm not as up. Like my knowledge of film is much more broad based before the 2000s, because I am old. So yeah, it's the newer movies are just because I don't watch movies over and over like I used to. So older movies are easier for me to remember because I've seen them more. Or movies like, you know, if I got a question from like The Hunt for Red October, that's a movie I watched 25 times. There are movies in my repertoire that I have watched over and over again that I can recite almost by rote. And then there are movies like I haven't seen a lot of touchstone movies for people, especially younger people, because I just haven't watched them, having only a limited amount of time to watch movies. There are a lot of movies I've just missed. And like I saw Suicide Squad once, and in the Jay Washington match, somebody asked me who had what stuffed animal, and it was like a pink unicorn. I'm like, I don't even know, because I hated Suicide Squad. So I didn't buy the Blu-ray even, so I would never watch that movie again. And I was barely paying attention the first time. It made me so angry. So when you get those questions, when they're asked to you, there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you don't have the answer, you don't have the answer. And if it's the first round, there's no multiple choice. And usually with multiple choice, I can guess the answer. But sometimes, like with that, I would not know, because I hated that movie.
We had the captain, Robert Meyer Burnett, here. Thank you so much for the interview, and throwing it right back to Jacob Blunden.
Thanks, Evan. So guys, let's talk about the main event, the big one this week. We had Team Patriots versus the new named Modok, formerly known as Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to start with Chris. What were your thoughts on this big one?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. I had such high hopes for Modok. They would defeat the Patriots. Okay, now look, all seriousness. This was the best team title match I've ever seen in my life. This was the best. Absolute. Because no real hashtag controversies, thank God. Not that we don't know what that's like, but what just amazed me was how back and forth it constantly was for the entire match, because Modok, for all intents and purposes, honestly should have won this match. Minus one thing. Their characters that they played, Boris and Natasha from Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, that screwed them. Mm-hmm. It screwed them in the end, because in round 4, when Matt kept hitting the buzzer before the Patriots, which no one saw that coming, but because he was in character and he stayed in character, it cost them. It cost them the whole thing, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
So I am still very hurt, because look, now to be fair, this match actually did give me a little more respect for JTE and a ton more respect for Snider. JTE still has a little more work to do as a talker on the microphone, because this is how you do it. But that being said, Snider and JTE, they're dominant. Like I cannot name a team right now off the top of my head who could beat them. I can't. So, Patriots, congratulations.
Yeah, I completely agree with that about there's no team at the from the outside looking in, there is no team that can go, hey, we can get those belts. The closest at the moment is probably Critically Acclaimed, but we still need to see them perform well. Bibiani has been very hit and miss, and has been very, one day he is brilliant, and then the other he just isn't. So Critically Acclaimed could be the one that comes up and takes it from them, but again, that's in the future. I do want to mention this, considering this game came down to sudden death. There were 4 key moments in this game for me that could have completely changed the game. That was in round 1. I personally do believe that they should have challenged the Evil Dead 3 question. I think Evil Dead 3 is Army of Darkness, and Army of Darkness is Evil Dead 3. I think they are one and the same. When Snider said, you don't call Die Hard 3, you don't say it's Die Hard 3, you say it's Die Hard with a Vengeance. However, if the question was, in which Die Hard movie does Simon Gruber turn up? That's Die Hard 3. If you gave that as your answer, I believe that would be accepted. Whereas if you're not asking for the title, they were asking for what movie, which was Evil Dead 3, it was the vibe, to use an Australian colloquialism. I do also think another thing was in round 2, question 4, which was the Towering Inferno co-star. I think it could have been worded a bit better, and I'm sorry, Skaliski, I'm not trying to insult you. I just think that did affect how they answered that question, because he was right. We said it in our reaction as well. There are numerous co-stars. If we said O.J. Simpson, would that have been correct? But that he is the main co-star. Steve McQueen is the main co-star. Patriots being conservative in the betting round was a huge mistake, and it nearly cost them the match. And then, as Chris mentioned, the character hurt Modok in round 4. Now, again, that's Matt actually in a lot of his other matches where it takes him a second to process what he's about to say. He hits the button, but it takes him a bit for his brain to catch up to his mouth, and then all of a sudden, no, 2 seconds gone. You run out of time. So, Evan, what are your thoughts?
Look, yeah. What Chris said is absolutely correct. That the character of Modok in themselves took over the match. And in theory, it might have actually helped them in round 1 and round 2, because I don't think I've ever seen a more focused Rotten Tomatoes. The Rotten Tomatoes that we saw show up versus the Patriots was a very focused Rotten Tomatoes. But when it matters most during the speed round, it hurt them a lot. Where I kind of want to throw back to where we were talking about William Bibbiani. Just like William Bibbiani's character, sometimes it screws him in the end. The characters can sometimes get in the way of them, like how we saw the rise and fall of the Outlaw of Don Roca, and we keep noticing this. How the Patriots are able to control their character and who they are in the Schmoedown is absolutely brilliant. And you can still see they're working on it day in and day out on what they do. You know, sometimes JT or Jeff Schneider disagree, that conservative move there. But day in and day out, you can see that they're always still building. They're always still learning about each other, and that's what makes the Patriots such a good team. Is they're always on top of each other. They always know. It's almost like their minds are in unison. And when they're not, they're able to talk things through. That's what a good team is able to do. And storyline-wise, we actually got to see Jeff Schneider and JT open up and give some respect to Modok. I'm liking the fact that the Lions Den are beginning to become that group who are, if you got game, I will respect your game. And I'm enjoying that about the Lions Den now, because it's true. Some of the teams that they have been going up against do have some pretty good game. And whoever the winners out of this tournament are going to be, I don't know, are either going to have a very rough road and actually get there. The question is, are the Patriots absolutely tear them apart, or are they actually going to show them a bit of respect like how they did for Modok? It's a very interesting arc that we have here with the Lions and / the Patriots and who they are and who they're becoming to be, especially with the Robert Burnett thing that Matthew was talking about earlier, and how he lost and how they kind of built him back up. I'm so involved and so invested into the Lions, and now I'm not a fan, but I'm just so interested into the story. It's so intriguing and so involving what they're able to shape and build here.
Very true, Evan. Matt, what are your thoughts on this week's match?
You guys already said a lot of my points. Jacob, you went through the points when Modok could have ended up winning the match. The Natasha and Boris stuff getting in the way. But this match was fantastic. It was a really good title match. If you guys saw our reactions, you know that when it got to the point when Patriots tied it up and it was going to sudden death, we were like, this is what we want to see. Like, it's fun every now and again for matches to be complete blowouts. Like, it's fun to watch a match that ends in a knockout, and it was like, but I really like the matches that go down to literally the last question. And let's also throw JT a bone of, like, he won the belts for his team this time. I think this is his Robert Duvall that Jeff Schneider did in the Spectacular last year. Now they've both, pulled out this last minute answer to either win them the belts or have the belts stay with them. And Patriots, they're dominant. You don't have to like them, but I think you gotta tip your hat to them of like, they've come up with some pretty tough competition since they got the belts, and they've performed, and I think they deserve the belts.
Definitely, and every time they manage to find a way to scrape through a win, and it's just fantastic to watch. I do also want to very highly commend the new feature that came in with sudden death. I thought it was a fantastic way to do sudden death. It was fair, it was judged well, and I am very glad that this was the first time we've seen it in this video. I do also want to talk about the certain little video that was shown at the very end of the title match. Evan, I will let you talk about this one first, and then we can throw it away.
I forgot to wash my hands before coming and talking here. So, point being is, look, this is becoming a new rivalry, and it's weird to see John Roca almost like trying to hype up this match, because I think Roca just wants the chance to prove himself and prove to everyone else that he kind of did help build Bibiani up. If Roca loses, everything that the Horsemen have done becomes pointless in this match, in my opinion. If he loses versus Bibiani, everything that the Horsemen was and everything the Horsemen are becomes pointless, because one of their competitors left and they go out and beat the head Horseman in John Roca. And I think this little exchange kind of proves what I'm saying here, because Bibiani and Roca back and forth near the bathroom was absolutely fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Matt, what were your thoughts?
Oh, I love this. This had me cracking up more than Cody and Josh McCouga's fantasy update. This was just perfect. You know, the thing about this is I feel like this is not the last time we're going to see this. I feel like what they did with Ricky and the whole like found footage stuff, I think Roca Bibiani, unless I just feel like this is going to be until they have a match. Maybe not every single match we're going to get, but we're going to get a couple more of these. I feel like just building, especially since we have now there is stakes in their match. Roca loses, he loses his hat, the representation of the outlaw character. And if Bibiani loses, he has to kiss Roca's feet, which is almost accepting, you built me up. You know, like the Horseman was why I was what I was. So it's going to be interesting. And I mean, these two never fail to make me laugh in the Schmoedown.
Definitely. Chris, what were your thoughts?
Bibbs, not washing your hands is disgusting. I hope to God you went back in that bathroom and you washed them and you scrubbed them good and make sure you got around the knuckles, because hygiene is important, my friend. Especially when you're writing on whiteboards and using markers that everyone else touches. That's how disease spreads, my friend. Please keep that in consideration.
All right, we're going to go over to an interview that Matt was able to get with the one and only Jeff Schneider.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm here with Jeff Schneider of Team Patriots and the Lions Den. Okay, Jeff, I just got to say, congrats on the win and the dominant performance that you guys gave again. I just got to start off saying that.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you very much for saying that. I know you're not all Patriots fans over there at Take 3, but we aim to please.
So, going into this title match, this is, I believe, your fourth title defense. Were you guys, like, scared at all, like, at any point during the match, or were you like, you know, I got this the whole way through?
I think that there was definitely a point after round 3, you know, when we both got the question right, but I only bet 1 point because it was classics, and they got 3 points, where JT and I were like, this is a little closer than we thought it was going to be. You know, when they got sports movies, too, in round 2, I thought we were going to be able to steal a lot of points, because they don't look like they had ever played sports or watched a sports movie, but they didn't give us any steal opportunities. So, yeah, I think after that round 3, we were like, oh boy, we really cannot afford to make any mistakes.
Yeah. And then that led into round 5. Now, I just have a question. So we always see in, round 3, round 5, when it comes to the 2-point question and the 3-point.
Yep.
When you and JT get into that little huddle, how do you guys decide who's going to take which, the 2-pointer and the 3-pointer?
It's really about whatever category comes out. I mean, directors is a strength of mine. Someone someone had told me that, I guess if you look at all of our matches this year, I have always gone first and taken the 2-pointer, and he's always taken the 3-pointer. And that's just the way that the categories have broken down. I think it's, there was horror thriller one match and crime movies. These are all my strengths. So rather than leave points on the board, I just want to take them when I can get them. So I have been answering the 2-pointer, and yeah, JT has been handling the 3 for better or worse.
I mean, it's been working out for you guys, so I guess why, break a good thing when you got it.
Yeah, I can't complain. I obviously knew that graduate answer and was bummed that JTE didn't, but that was effectively a classics type of question. So I understand, how he might have gotten tripped up.
So you guys, Modok takes you to sudden death. Are you guys at all nervous during that round that you might lose the belt by a point?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even sure. The format was new to me too. So I wasn't. I thought there was going to be another question after. You can almost see it takes me a while to get up and start running around and celebrating because I didn't quite realize what had happened. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was just a one question sort of thing. And yeah, when JT got Dumb and Dumber, as soon as he flashed that, I was like, yeah, of course. And then Gray did Friday, and I did Bebe's Kids, obviously. And when Matt, I was just shocked that Matt didn't write anything down. I thought he might have matched the Dumb and Dumber answer, but hey, credit to JTE for saving the day.
Totally. Now the Patriots are 7-0 with 3 knockouts. You guys are definitely the best team we have ever seen this Schmoedown. That's 2015 through the 2016 season. How do you guys feel when people in the comments and on the pages aren't giving you guys the respect you deserve for being such a dominant team?
I mean, I think JT and I are used to it just as fans of the actual New England Patriots because they keep winning and still have their haters. I think haters just sort of they come with the territory. We know that we are sort of heels in this league, and that there are always going to be people who we'll beat top 10, and then people will get in the Facebook comments and be like, well, top 10 is going to crush you next time. It's like, well, how many times do we need to beat top 10 to show you that that's probably not going to happen? Yeah, I think we're comfortable with our position in the league, and we feel like we've won some fans over since the early days.
Yeah, and you brought it up. You and JTE are some of the best heels we have in this league. But you also do the great thing, which is you show respect to Modok during the post-match interviews. Why can't fans on these pages kind of understand that you're playing characters and show that respect to you as well and just not come at you so strong?
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to see us as playing characters. They want to take the characters at face value. I mean, JT and I talked about it right before we went on camera for that post-match. There's been bad blood between us and top 10. There's a personal rivalry there that didn't really exist with Modok. I respect Gray and Matt immensely. So we had to give it up. So we really didn't have a choice. The way that Modok played, we had to give them credit for really taking us to the brink of elimination and pushing us because they, a good competitor brings out the best in you, and they definitely made us step up our game. And fortunately, we were able to.
Yeah, and you talked about JT pulling Dumb and Dumber. Why do you think people are still doubting JTE? Why? We've seen him come in and be clutch in these team matches.
It's because JT misspells things or mispronounces things, and so people think he's, not smart or something like that. JT is very smart. He has his strengths and I have mine, and they happen to really complement each other quite nicely. I don't know I probably wouldn't have gotten that Viggo Mortensen daylight question. And just like he, didn't know the Bob Fosse question. Like there are holes in my game and holes in his game, and we kind of fill each other's without making any homoerotic jokes. But yeah, I think we make a really good team, and I didn't see it coming. When we got paired up at the beginning of all this, I was kind of like, oh man, JTE, like, all right, he's not maybe a top contender. He's been known for, some major flubs. I'm gonna make the most of it and get the best out of him. But to his credit, he has really come a long way this year, and I think he has to be in the discussion for Player of the Year.
Now, you talk about the tournament. We heard you guys in your post-match interview with Lions Den talking about a possible Blofeld's Cat leading the Patriots. That's spectacular. Besides that, is there a team that is in the tournament that the Patriots kind of want to play? Or are you guys just like, whoever wins, we're willing to take on?
Yeah, we are willing to take on anybody. Obviously McWeeny and Levine are a scary team. I don't think that the Malton Falcons are in the tournament, but we've got to keep an eye on them given Leonard Malton's reputation. And yeah, the one team that I think could surprise and who I would not take lightly is Late to the Party. They've, I've seen their reaction videos as well as yours. They seem to know their stuff, and maybe they can give critically acclaimed a run for their money. We'll see.
I want to just ask you about the Lions Den. You guys are by far the strongest faction we have seen. How do you feel when you get the people on these pages calling you guys the crying den and all this? Does it affect you guys, or does it like fuel the fire to make you want to win and prove them all wrong?
Fuels that fire, baby. I don't care. I've read way worse. I've been called every name in the book. Nothing that anybody can see on these message boards is going to take me down a peg. The only thing that's going to hurt is when we eventually lose, and I imagine that day will come. I don't think I'm going to, die undefeated in this league. There's too much talent coming in, and so the higher we climb up that Schmoedown ladder, the greater fall that we're sort of setting ourselves up for. So we're going to ride this wave as long as it'll carry us. And yeah, but no, I'm not worried about what the fans say. They can say the Kittens Club or whatever the hell they call us. Makes no difference.
Okay, so I just have one more question for you, Jeff.
Sure, shoot.
You had your first match against Humberto Gonzalez very early on in the 2016 season. Did you ever think you would become a big fixture in the Schmoedown and to many a fan favorite in the Schmoedown?
Honestly, no. But I guess when at the time of that first match with Humberto, like I was like you guys, like I was still a wide-eyed fan. I couldn't believe I was on the set. I couldn't believe I was going to be on camera and 100,000 people were going to watch me. Now it's now the Patriots matches get closer to 200,000. I feel like. So no, I never dreamed that we would be this successful, and let alone 7-0 in teams. But obviously, I've been very confident in my own abilities. I don't think I lack in confidence at all. I'm a little arrogant. And yeah, man, I went to NYU film school, so I know my stuff as well as any of these clowns.
I remember that being one of the first things you said in your promo in that match was, I went to NYU film school. Come on, I know this.
It would be pretty embarrassing, yeah, if I was losing movie trivia contests after that.
It would. All right, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for giving us the time for this interview. I'm a big fan of yours, so this was just a fantastic opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff.
Thank you guys for reaching out, and thank you for all the work that you do. I know you guys put in a lot of time and effort watching these matches, putting up these reactions, and I watch every single one. I watch you guys, Late to the Party, Jeremy Hastings, Anthony Rodriguez, I believe it is. So keep up, keep doing what you guys are doing. People are noticing.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
Anytime you want me, fellas, just not after a loss.
All right, I'm going to throw it back to our host, Jacob Blunden.
Thanks, Matt, and that was a great interview. Thank you very much. All right. Next week in the Schmoedown, we have absolutely no idea what's happening because Christian threw a curveball to us this morning with we don't have the start of the tournament next week. So next week we'll be able to do our preview, which is good. And this week we've got the preview coming out on Tuesday, followed by a to be advised match on Friday. Guys, I'll start with Matt. What are your thoughts on what is next week?
I think the match is going to be Jason Inman and Emma Fife's Inner Geekdom match. If you're following on the page, you know that Christian Harloff dude's only human. He made the mistake. He didn't realize when he was setting up Coy Jandrew versus Jason Inman that Coy was 1-0. And so he was like, Coy should just get an immediate bye into this fatal three-way to go for the shot at the belt. I'm sure he didn't want to take a shot for Jason Inman way. That would be a little unfair. So he said, okay, Emma Fife and him both performed pretty well in their fatal five-way together. Let's put a match on for them. It just makes the most sense to me because this match sort of was announced of like this is happening fairly recently. So I feel like it's been recorded and I feel like it should come out before the tournament starts. That's just me.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I do think this is the match we're getting on Friday because to me it makes the most sense. Christian even kind of announced it 3 weeks ago when he announced the Inner Geekdoms and said, hey, we're going to have 3 matches over 3 weeks. And we never got confirmation of that third match. So, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Okay. The logical side of my brain is saying it is Inman and Fife. But for some reason, the illogical side of my brain is saying that it's something completely different. And there are 2 possibilities. One is a little more likely, one's a tad less likely. The one's a little more likely is the Christian Dan Merle title match. Now, why would they blow their load that early? Because that one makes, oddly enough, that one's more likely to happen, but it makes the least amount of sense. Because why? No hype for it. No build up. Does Christian honestly not value himself as a competitor that much that he would throw away his career like that? No, he doesn't. And the other possibility is a team match, that being Cinema Sins versus Malton Falcons, but to my knowledge, that match has not been recorded yet. So why would they suddenly just drop it on us like that?
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, yes. The most likely answer is Inman versus Fife. However, with sometimes what Christian likes to pull on us, we could be in for something completely different.
It is very true. Going based off their Twitter, I don't think it's going to be the Maltese Falcons and Cinema Sins simply because I don't think Cinema Sins are in LA until October. I could be wrong about that, but from based off their conversations on Twitter, that's where it was looking. That being said, Evan, I just thought your theory was out of the world, and then Chris stole it. So, Evan,
I know. I had the steamroll theory first. Look, here's the thing. I thought this match was supposed to be in August anyways, and I haven't seen it on the schedule anywhere, even on the first master schedule that he put out where it was Harloff versus Dan. It has to happen before the tournament. Like, the match has to happen before the singles tournament. And
yes, but remember, we have to get through the team tournament first.
You can do it before the team tournament. Like, you crap. If you need a break from the tournament, you can do it in between the tournament. Like, that's the beautiful side of this whole Dan versus Christian match. If he drops it on us Friday without having an announcement, do you know how crazy the Schmoedown community would go? They'd be like, oh my god, Christian versus Dan just dropped. We weren't expecting this. And think about what if he dropped it even like maybe an hour earlier before expected. I think the community would go insane
with anger.
Why would they be angry? No. A huge championship match would just drop. But the point being is, I don't think that's that most likely scenarios, but I just want to make sure I claim that I was the first one to call that, Chris. Point being is that's an opportunity for it to happen. But a competitor people are forgetting about, Jeremy Johns. Yes, he might have semi-retired or taking a break from the inner geekdom, but what if he's in this triple threat with Emma Fyfe and Jason Inman? What if this turns into a triple threat inner geekdom?
I don't think so, simply because one, Jeremy has said that I'm taking a break. I also have this feeling that he's not going to do a triple threat and then a four threat, like a four-way. It wouldn't work that way. I think we are going to very much see Jason Inman and Emma Fyfe this Friday. To me, it is the most logical. It makes the most sense. It would be weird for us to start to have two inner geekdoms in a row, build up to that, not get the third one, and then have to wait again to do either the second inner geekdom, the last inner geekdom, and then the title match or something. Like, it would just feel weird in the structure. Evan, I completely disagree with you. You can absolutely wait until after the tournament to do the singles match, and that to me is what you have to do. You do what we just saw this weekend with the Patriots. You have the team match the week before the tournament starts. Now, obviously, he's pushed the tournament, but still, it's within a week. Now we know what they're fighting for.
I just want to clarify, I meant after the singles tournament. I'm saying you can't do it after the singles tournament. It has to be before the Ultimate Showdown and singles tournament.
That's we're all agree.
But how it's currently scheduled is, now we've had a team title match, we're doing the team tournament. Once we get through the semifinals of the team tournament, then we do the singles title match, then the singles tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, that will do it for this episode of the Reactors Summit. I want to thank all my guests. Matt, where can the good people find you online?
You guys can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter and hosting the Movie Fandom Show here on Take 3 every other Wednesday.
Evan, where can the good people find you online?
You guys can find me. Having the team think I'm crazy, even though we just had Robert scream at a wall. So yeah, you guys can find me at Evan DeGraff 15 on Twitter, and that's about it. I swear I'm not crazy.
You proved Matt wrong every single week. Chris, where can the good people find you online?
Has he, though? That's the real question. And you guys can find me on Twitter at my band Last Shot Redemption at LSAR Band MN. You can follow Take 3 Productions on Twitter at Take 3 Trivia. And as always, you guys can find me hosting our Schmoedown reactions and the Worldwide Movie Trivia League.
And I just want to thank our special guests as well for coming on and doing interviews today with Robert Burnett and Jeff Schneider. You can find them at that link below. Guys, we will see you next week for what is going to be our big Reactors Summit special, where we talk all things Ultimate Schmoedown tournament. We're going to try and get a few more special guests for that, and it's going to be fantastic. But for Chris Dohmen, for Evan DeGraff, for Matthew Kearns, I'm Jacob Blunden, and we will see you next time on the Reactors Summit.